I guess to start off, I mean, we've seen today Duke, Arizona, a rash of postponements and some cancellations. What are you feeling about the season and just about its viability?
Honestly, that's news. I just hadn't heard about Duke in Arizona as of right now. I just hadn't been on my phone. I've been getting ready for practice and doing some things and in meetings. But I have seen over the last couple of days, obviously, a lot of postponements, a lot of cancellations. I think our end goal is obviously to get to March. How do we get to March? What's the best way to keep our student athletes healthy and safe, and then try to get games in as many as we can along the way. I think everybody understands that there are going to be ebbs and flows to this season, that there's going to be cancellations, there are going to be postponements. I think we have to always keep the first things first, and if we do that, we'll get through it. But there's no question it's not going to be perfect in any scenario. Our kids, the people here have done an amazing job. I mean, it starts with our football team has done terrific, and they were the first kind of program here to go through it, and medical staff. But then your kids, and we just got to continue to preach safeness and preach the well-being. But that doesn't mean it's a perfect recipe either, and so. It's unfortunate, but that's the landscape we're in right now, and so we've got to deal with it.
You think that there should be, or has there been discussion about maybe looking at changing the Big 12 structure of the schedule to ensure more of those games can happen?
Yeah, those questions, and I respect those questions, and those are good questions, but I think those questions are for people in positions higher than me. And from that standpoint, I think my job is we got to practice at 3:30 and get these guys prepared for practice because it's been an unusual. We haven't had a summer. We've done a great job in our approach to trying to stay as safe as we can, to where we haven't had done a ton of the team stuff early. Now we've had our team practices now, but we've had some injuries, so. We scrimmaged again Saturday. My only focus really is how do I get this team, up to speed as fast as possible. And I think what you're going to see this year is, and you should see this every year with good teams, but the real growth from November to March. And that's the biggest thing I'm going to talk to our team about today. It's, we got to figure out ways to get better every week because we've missed a lot. And so, but that's all I can really control. We need to let from administration or the higher ups make those decisions, and then we need to follow suit.
Thanks, Steve.
Question will be from Matt Bellinson of the Iowa State Daily. Matt, you can go once you unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi, Steve. Just going off some things you just mentioned there to Travis, just about this team has been dealing with a lot of injuries, these past couple weeks and months, really, and like you mentioned, it was an unusual summer. I guess just kind of asking straight up, I mean, do you feel confident that this team, not in terms of preparedness and execution, but just given the fact of how much uncertainty has been this offseason, do you feel ready to start the season on Sunday?
We'll be ready on Sunday. Will we be perfect? No, not by any means. Is there going to be a lot of growing pains and things you got to go through? No question. But that's what early season, games are for. We don't have the scrimmages. We don't have the exhibitions. We're going to jump right into it. And, we've got Pine Bluff on Sunday, and then you look at our schedule after that with South Dakota State and DePaul and Iowa and K-State, West Virginia. You just got to continue to grow and learn. We're not going to be perfect right now. And there's majority, if not all, college programs probably saying the same thing right now. We got to get better, unless your teams that are bringing back a ton of guys, and you just got tremendous amounts of experience. But I think that's our one message to these guys: is stay the course. Let's get better each week. Let's continue to grow. Let's learn. Style of play is what we're doing. Fit this team as we start playing defensively, the adjustments you got to make. I think it's going to be something you're going to have to change a little bit more on the fly as you go. And so the injuries, the biggest piece of the injuries, it just limit us from as much 5-on-5 as we probably would want to be at right now. So we just got to really try to hone in on this week and and get ready for Pine Bluff and just take it a game at a time and a practice at a time. That's all we can really do right now. We can't overanalyze everything, and we just got to stay focused on the now.
Thank you.
Our next question will be from Travis Hines of the Ames Tribune. Go ahead, Travis.
Steve, you talked a little bit last week about kind of the, journey that Xavier's been on just to get on the court with the injuries and all that. And I was hoping you could maybe talk a little bit about, what that's been like for him to try to acclimate to the college game and be ready for a season here.
Well, you got to put yourself in all these freshman shoes. I mean, this is probably the most unprecedented time to start college as a freshman with everything we've had going on in our country from the end of May up until now, from a social issues piece, from a pandemic piece, from just how hard it is just to start college as an 18, 19-year-old freshman. I mean, those are three major things going on right there. And so with all that being included, now you don't have a traditional summer of understanding system and kind of going through the rigors of the everyday life of a student athlete and nutrition and weights and film and individual workouts. He's been beat up a little bit. He's had some injuries and some things where he's had to, hadn't been able to practice all the time. But whenever he gets it right and he can start putting consecutive days together and then consecutive weeks together, I think his upside is tremendous. I mean, you're looking at a guy that's close to 7 feet that, probably feels more comfortable, playing facing the basket and, can really shoot the ball, got great touch, but he's got great size and athleticism. He can really run. He can change shots. He's got activity. He's very skilled. But it's going to be a process. But it's like that with a lot of freshmen. And so we got to be patient. We got to continue to work with them. And then he's got to continue to gain strength and continue to gain his focus and understanding at what it takes at this level. And when he does that, and this is all that with all big guys, when it hits, it hits. And when it clicks. And if he can stay the course physically, mentally, emotionally, he's got a chance.
What's the dynamic like for him? Because obviously there's a level of expectation when you're an in-state recruit and highly regarded as he was. But at the same time, there's two other guys at his position that are accomplished, that are talented, that maybe take off the pressure of, people expecting a ton from him this year.
Well, yeah, yeah, I think it's the immediate pressure is probably not there. Maybe the internal pressure. There's a great quote I heard one time. It's, be patient. Be patient as you wait for your opportunity, but don't be patient in the way you work to get that opportunity. And I thought that was really good and deep. But I don't think it's always – everybody always wants it today and right now. I think he needs to look at it long term to say where are we at the end of the road? Like, where do I want to be? And, if he does it the right way, and that means on and off the floor, that means nutrition, rest, workouts, all that stuff, film. If he does it the right way, he's skilled to where he'll be very rewarded for it. But everybody's path is different, and I've said this. I mean, you look at all the guys we've had that had great success. There's not one guy in the NBA or playing high level overseas that you could say, all right, their route was the same. And so Xavier just needs to take it a day at a time and figure out, hey, what's my vision for the end of the road? Not what's my, not about am I getting immediate satisfaction.
Just looking at your guys' numbers, it looks like you'll probably have to at least ask Dubar Dudley to play some at maybe that small bar forward. Just wondering what you've seen out of them so far.
Yeah, I think Dubar's been the most consistent when you look at those freshmen. From a standpoint, he just kind of plays within himself, doesn't try to do too much. Had 3 assists, no turnovers in the scrimmage the other day. He can kind of play 3 and 4 for us. That's the kind of spots perimeter-wise he's been learning. I think he's a really good straight-line drive guy, a guy that can make plays off the bounce. But he's also a guy that can change shots at the rim on the weak side. And he's had several opportunities in practice and several moments in practice where he's blocked shots, changed shots at the rim. And so I think he's been the most consistent. Dudley has great energy. He's playing mostly at the 4 right now. And again, you handle that ball a lot in our offense at the 1 and the 4 with different things we do to get into offense and get downhill. And so he just got to continue to be able to play through mistakes, limit his turnovers, and then both those guys, they just got to put a premium on going to the glass on both ends of the floor. I think that's the one thing we're really trying to stress with both those guys.
Next question will be from Michael Swain of Cyclone Alert and 247 Sports. Go ahead, Michael.
Hey, Coach, you had mentioned Trey had been out with an injury last week. I'm just wondering how he's doing and kind of how you guys are looking on the injury front to start off this week.
Trey will be the only one out today. He's still out probably to at least midweek. Maybe he'll get back towards the tail end of the week. I'm hoping. We're just being cautious, and he goes back to the doctor this week and checks back in. And so, we miss Trey because I think he's our most consistent guy when you talk about energy and on the defensive end. He brings it every day, and so we need to get him back out there, but we need to be smart as well. Bolton was back. He had a hip issue, but he's back this week, and Xavier's back. All the other guys are back now this week. Everybody this time of year is banged up in some form or fashion, but Trey's the only one that's out practice-wise.
And then with Tyler, you'd mentioned for some of the freshmen the difficulty in trying to adapt. How have you seen maybe Tyler work through some of the early stages of getting used to playing with some new guys?
Well, I think the one thing about Tyler is he can really shoot the basketball. He can really space the floor. I think the thing when you transfer from program to program, you have to start understanding what role you have there, how they want you to play. And so our biggest thing with Tyler right now is just to understanding spacing, understanding our cutting, our movement, pace of play, our defensive rules. And so we're just continuing to really harp on that. He was in my office yesterday. We watched the scrimmage together with him and Ra and Jalen. And so we watched that just to kind of go over the everything that I want and what I see and what they see. But he's doing a good job. He's just got to continue to grow and learn within our system. But shot making, he can do it at a high level.
And then looking forward just to the game this week, what are just some of the things that you're going to be looking for specifically? I know you mentioned you guys haven't been able to do many scrimmages or 5-on-5, stuff like that.
Effort, energy, execution. That's really it. Everything else, I'm not really concerned about right now. Can we play with great effort? Can we play with great energy? Can we execute what we want to do on both ends of the floor? That's really it in a nutshell. I'm not going to overdo it. It's early. We'll have some tape on them because they do play Marquette in Wisconsin this week. But we won't dive into Pine Bluff till Friday and Saturday. We got still a lot of stuff we got to make sure we're taking care of with our team.